private firms drive China's economy. 90% of all enterprises, 60% of GDP, and over 80% of urban jobs. But with global supply chains in turmoil, how can they keep growing and thriving? This is Doing Business in China. I'm Tu Yun. Joining me and co-host Professor Chu Qiang from Minzu University of China is Mr. Michael Wu Kim Khan, a member of the 14th National Committee of China's political advisory body, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Mr. Wu is also chairman of the Hong Kong-based Leung Group and lifetime honorary chairman of the Hong Kong Chu Chao Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Michael, for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, first, let's start with your personal experience, Michael. Tell us your own experience of doing business on China's mainland, please.
Yes, we are mainly involved in jewelry business as well as high-tech business. With jewelry business, we involve in branding, manufacturing, and also wholesale distribution, as well as e-commerce. So we would import name brands from overseas to be distributed in the Greater China area, as well as Asia Pacific, and vice versa. So, and for the high-tech side, we involve in autonomous driving and different new high-tech, including artificial intelligence.
So all these business, you got branches on the Chinese mainland, right?
Yes, some of the branches, yes.
Okay, then how do you perceive the current environment for private enterprises on the mainland then?
Well, the global economical situation is facing different challenges. However, with the central government's assurance and emphasizing to have private sector to be part of the central government's key concern, that brings a lot of efforts from the central government in support of the private sectors. And the private sector law will be commencing and be taken into effect very soon in a matter of months. So with all these, I think we can be positive for the private sectors.
Actually, a recent symposium President Xi Jinping attended with private enterprises has shown how much the central leadership values the private sector. And now authorities are giving permission to private investors to participate in nuclear power, oil and gas exploration, and new energy storage projects. Then how encouraging does it sound to you or to private firms and investors? How attractive are they? Probably to you yourself, would you, consider investing in them?
Yes, with the main concern, we should meet the national security laws. That is number one. And I think all these opportunities would give us new possibilities. However, we would judge these investments in a case-by-case basis. However, we could see that some of the projects are attractive and is economically and profit-wise sounding.
Right. Let's turn to Professor Chu here. Actually, nuclear power and oil and gas, to some extent, are quite sensitive, right? Because they concern national security. Why do you think the authorities decide to expand the access to private investors now?
Well, Tuyin, I think this is a very good question. A lot of people question about this because in the whole world, well, since we have the nuclear power and the big energy industry, usually it's been dominated by the government, companies. For example, not only in China or the former Soviet Union countries, but also let's take a look at European Union, for example, the EDF. The EDF in France is probably the most influential, nuclear companies of the whole world. Even in America, even in Japan, previously, I think all the nuclear power stations, plants are dominated by the state capitals. But recently, we've been finding there is a problem. problem. The problem is that the state enterprises or state capital sometimes lack of motivation, the lack of incentive, and sometimes if in the innovation, in the marketing operation, they probably need some other help. And I think we need what we call the catfish effect. So we need to introduce in the competition from the private sectors. Let's say, for example, in America, they've been finding the Westinghouse and the Oklo and some other private sectors. They've been doing very, very well because they don't have such a large investment. Because you see, if you want to build a reactor, if you want to build a nuclear plant, that means tons of huge investment, from the generation, from the raw material import, from the disposal of the nuclear waste, and that's probably are not the things of the private sectors, but they invented something new. And to solve these problems, like what Elon Musk has been doing with the aviation and aerospace, so they invented like what we call the small molecule reactor, very, very small, and they can function very well for small size energy demand and also with very low cost. And this is just the beginning. So I think right now from all over the world, from France to America to Japan, they've been talking about how we can introduce in private sectors. For example, right now in Japan, they have the Hitachi and the Toshiba combination to help this nuclear development. So I think that's the reason why China learned from this good experiences and want to do the same thing. For example, right now in China, Shandong Weiqiao is doing the same thing, helping the Zhongguanghe and the Zhonghe, this big enterprises of China, to doing the same thing.
Right. What kind of advantages do such private firms have in this regard? They are latecomers, right?
Yeah.
Companies like Michael's company, they're engaged in jewelry or automotive, assembling or dealing. Do they have any competitive advantages here if they want to enter this area?
Great question. I do think, well, why not? Just take a look at the Elon Musk and SpaceX. Elon Musk used to do starting from the PayPal. It's a paying company. Anything related to a space company or rocket launching? No, nothing. And take a look at the Dajiang or DJI.
All right.
And also, they do not have experience in the low altitude the aviation at all. But somehow because they don't have this experiences, or translating into another side, they do not have any stereotype or kinds of the obsolete idea in their mind. So they don't need to follow the old path. They can start a new one from ground zero. And that's the reason why they've been so successful. And that's the reason why in America, in Japan, in the European Union, also in China, many big projects that used to be considered to be dominated by not only the state-owned enterprises, but only by the military-owned enterprises like the rocket launching. Right now, take a look at China's rocket industry. Many, newly graduated students started their own rocket company, as well as for the drone companies, as well for the robot company. Take a look at the Unitree, right? That man does not have any experience in the robot, but somehow he becomes the number one in the whole world, Wang Xinxin.
Right.
So I think it's the same story. And come back to Michael, and I think why a jewelry company cannot go into the auto driving industry. Well, I think they have the largest drive for the auto driving. Just consider right now all kinds of the convoy, guarding the precious goods, like guarding the bank bills, guarding the jewelries, guarding the very precious paintings. And they've been fully armed and guarded by human resources. Very, very huge investment. But consider if we can have, a very high-tech, guaranteed and guarded, like a drone vehicle fleet, to transport all these very valuable goods. That will be a new track. That will be a new industry. So I think they have, more than anyone else, try to develop this kind of the new industry to protect this new business and to build their own war against the other businesses, competitors.
Then, Michael, do you have any plan or thoughts of entering those areas, like a renewable energy or energy storage? Have you thought about
frankly
it?
speaking, we are entrepreneurs. We are having open attitude to new opportunities. So, but we will not limit ourselves to what business we had before. However, like now we have the AI, we have manners to execute. I think we should, as private sector, we should embrace this new technology and think of new ways how to inject them into our various business and various level of business, from R&D to manufacturing to precision sales And we always believe in the ends justify the means concept. So go to the customer first, see the demand, and then we come backward and adjust our supplies.
That's what we call entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
And actually, this year's government work report has highlighted developing private economy in a down-to-earth manner and stressed the importance of protecting the legitimate rights and interests of private enterprises on entrepreneurs in accordance with the law. And as uh, Michael just mentioned, a new law to promote private economy is about to be introduced in about 1 month, right, Michael?
Yes,
That
yes.
that's
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 what
new, I think, to all of us.
yes, that's what I have learned
All right.
from our Prime Minister. And there are two pillars that stand out: equal market access from Article 12 and also enhanced intellectual property protection in Article 30. So that will further enhance and protect and promote the businesses in private sectors.
Of all those points you just mentioned, which one do you think is key to further unleash private companies and entrepreneurs' dynamism? And then, Michael.
Yes, I think Article 12, equal market access, I think mandates that provincial government establish bidding restriction based on ownership type. So I think these are some of the encouraging pillars that can help out our private sectors.
Professor Chu?
Well, I really want to ask Michael some questions because as a Hong Kong entrepreneurs, well, you're like half and half because you're private sector, but also you are some kind of like, not foreign capital, but it's just out of mainland capital.
Right.
When you enter China, have you ever faced a certain kind of the obstacles when you try, like you just mentioned, the bidding policies, based on your ownership type? And I understand that your company also have operation outside of China, for example, in some other countries. So if you want to make a comparison between the mainland policy, especially the local government policies, towards some other foreign countries' policies, what kind of the conclusion do you have, or what kind of advice do you have for us?
Well, I think from my personal experience, no countries will be easy or problem free. Now, it is a matter of attitude to overcome them. Now, with the local competitions, we need to do local adaptations, a lot of local adaptations. So even when we are in China, different province would have different characteristics, and we need to do a lot of local adaptations. So that's what I learned from my experiences.
Right, Professor Xu. Then all those factors or aspects that the authorities want to improve or streamline, like a fair market access or ban on fining private firms without a legal basis and profit-driven cross-regional law enforcement. I believe Michael's companies maybe haven't encountered such problems, but there are a lot of other companies encountering, such problems. I can't say like every day, but every now and then. So, which one would you say is, probably the most urgent to be settled?
Well, I think the protection of the private sector's benefit is probably the most urgent ones. Well, like Michael just mentioned, he probably doing very well in his businesses, and he knows the philosophy and the wisdom of adaptation to the local reality. I think that's perfect. But I think in every places, not only in China but also outside of China, they have something called local protectionism.
Right.
For example, well, I know that Chaozhou Chamber of Commerce has a huge operation and presence in Thailand. For example, in the car dealing businesses. Well, you probably are very familiar with the car dealing business in Thailand. That if you have to build a company in Thailand, well, certain board members' nomination have to give to the Thailand citizens, and you need to allow Thailand company to have certain share in your company. Well, in China, we do not have that kind of requirement because that is one kind of the local protectionism. We understand they want to protect local job, local taxation. Fine, we understand that. But in China, for example, in some remote area, in some actually the lagging behind area, the local government want to guarantee their local jobs. So they will say, okay, if you're private sector, if you want to bid, you probably need to create another extra like 100 or 200 jobs in here, or prepay some taxation in here. So this is also kind of the local protectionism. I think that's the reason why last year central government mentioned very clearly we need to build a unified and integrated market all over China. I think that's something we're facing right now.
Right. I think another issue a lot of private enterprises are facing is financing. Michael, probably your company hasn't encountered such problem like financing, limited access to financing. Is that a big problem to you?
Financing is always an issue.
All right.
Whether it will become a problem or not is, I think, profitability and being sensitive to finding new businesses or renovating your business is crucial. But globally, financing is an issue.
Yeah, but have your company had hard times when you go to banks for money for loans?
Well, let me switch the question a little bit.
All
So
right.
if your company want to have some expansion, do you want to find financing in Hong Kong banking sector, or you would like to come back to the mainland and finding the money in the mainland banking sector? Which one is a better strategy?
Well, in our case, I have an embarrassing position. We are also financial institution
All right.
ourselves. So we welcome anyone to talk with us on financing. We will provide competitive rates.
So probably Michael doesn't have that much to say in that regard.
For bringing advertisement.
Mm,
Wow, it's like deep seek. When they ask, do you need money
yeah,
to develop your new technology? They say, fine, we have enough money. We have.
that's true. But Professor
I
Chu,
think that we have enough money, but we have our way of finding a competitive source of funds.
right. But Professor Chu, that's a big problem for a lot of private companies on the mainland, especially those small and medium ones.
Yeah.
So, and it's been a bottleneck for many years. So, uh, what makes it so difficult for banks to grant loans to those firms then?
Yes, it's indeed a very important question. Well, many of the mainland enterprises only rise up after the reform and opening up, and most of them actually rise up after the 2000s. Just take a look at the latest development, like Xiaomi, like even Huawei, like Alibaba, right? They've been born like in the 1998. But in Hong Kong, many of the privileged enterprises, they've been having a long time, very long time in the free market and globalized market. For example, the Chamber of Commerce of Chaozhou basically are established in the early 1900s. So they have a very long history. Well, they have a very good, accumulation of their capital, of their experiences. So I think funding or financing issues probably are okay for them, but actually become the great challenge for Chinese newly startups.
Right.
So I think the problem is that they do not have enough collaterals. If you want to go to the bank, if you want to borrow money, and how much you can borrow and how much was the rate, well, decided on how much collateral do you have, how large your company is. But actually, those garage startups, actually, they do not have this privilege. So I think currently that's the reason why I think the Premier has mentioned very, strongly that we need to help them. We need to set up this stock market oriented technology mechanism to support these tech giants or tech startups. And also we need to start a new bond board to support these startups, to give them a lower rate and by government to vouch for them, the government to subsidize their interest rate they have to pay, the government to try to vouch for them to raise up their credit so the bank will dare to lend them more of the money. So I think this is actually a good mechanism.
Then, Michael, because Michael's got a financial institute. So, Michael, if a small and medium-sized firm goes to your company, your bank, is it a bank or?
It's an integration of financial provision and also venture capital.
All right.
So frankly speaking, they don't come and look for us. It is the
Your
other way around.
venture capital.
We look for them.
Right.
We
Then,
are looking for companies that have potential growth aspects, and we go actively to find them. Because for these new startups, we need to have the analyzing know-how to find out who can have the capability, who can have the sustainability, and we go after them. We go after them.
then what kind of startups have more chances of getting loans or getting money from you?
Yes, I think the practical usage in the market and the demand of that, and then the execution of the concept. That's most important. And then we would evaluate also the owner and the operation team and the financing team, as well as the long-term sustainability analysis. So these would all come into as a systematic evaluation SOP for investment companies, include but not limited to venture capitalists.
Then those words are for those who want to, borrow money from probably Michael in the future. Back to the government's support for private economy. With the government's emphasis on technological breakthroughs in such areas like AI and cloud computing, Michael, how can private enterprises position themselves to contribute and benefit from these initiatives then?
Well, I think I'm a very practical person. Please excuse me that today, all the questions you have asked, we have gone through various AI models to consolidate and take it as a reference. So I think not to be afraid of innovations, be brave, embrace, and apply them. I think this is the most practical and easy way of working out. So for myself, and also I encourage the members of our Chamber of Commerce, as well as the business sector in Hong Kong, is to actively engage yourself in understanding what the AI breakthrough is, and just build simple task force of 1 or 2 persons or a few persons as a core committee. Start application into various sectors or all sectors in the company, and set up KPIs and deadlines for this whole process.
And to this enforcement of the probably upcoming law to promote private economy, Michael, how important is the enforcement of such a law for to protect private enterprises, and what steps do you expect to be taken to strengthen such protection then?
Yes, I think the central government emphasize on managing the country with legal basis, with the law. So that gives us confidence. That means there are the basic references that we can base on and rely on. And as for Hong Kong, is the only region in China that practice common law, and the integration of common law and adjusting, and also I would not say integration. I would say a coordination of common law and continental law would bring challenges as well as confidence for foreign companies, and also helping local companies to cooperate with international ones. And I think the introduction of additional new laws, including the law for the private sector, would bring more equality and more systematical um, solutioning when there are judiciary um, arguments that may arise. So I think this is bringing us to a positive and proper direction.
Right. Michael, your focus at this year's national conference for political advisors is how to facilitate the export of China-made automobiles. We know a considerable share of the exports are electric vehicles made by private Chinese firms. So, what's your proposal in this regard?
Well, I could not mention the details of my proposal.
All right.
However, I would bring out the main concern or the essence of my thoughts. Okay,
Mm,
so we are our family is involved in auto dealerships in Thailand. So we are one of the player along the supply chain. So and also with the Chamber of Commerce, and we have our members globally, which I visited them, and also I have asked them to commission them to conduct local research, and that is for the sales side. And for the manufacturer side, we have done intensive research with various automakers and the Chinese auto industry associations. After our conclusion, we would see a lot of potential adverse competitions, and we certainly do not like to see the situation such as the electric motorcycle industry of Chinese exports in Vietnam. So price war, eventually lowering the quality to adjust to the price competition, and then bringing the sustainability to an end. So we certainly do not want to have that happen in the auto industry. So the central government is already doing a good job. However, I must bring the attention to make coordination effort and supportive effort to the EV EV car industry's exports
mm,
effort by various means. So we would have a three aspects approach that I suggest and concern. Number one is information collections. So we need to collect informations from local markets, from various dealers, real time, and by having all this information analyzed, we would compile into a proper strategies and coordinating various automakers um, to avoid irrational price competitions. And that all that of these is to bring sustainability to the auto industries.
mm. Then, what kind of role do you expect the government or, like business associations like yours to play in this regard then?
I think first is communication among central government's proper division, as well as the auto industry, as well as the auto industry associations. So we also always believe in self discipline among the industry without government's over um, involvement. However, I think to a certain extent, central government would need to play a role in coordinating and supporting,
Mm,
especially when the recent situation of geopolitical circumstances could change rapidly and in a very drastic way. We need to have contingency ready for various possibilities.
mm. Right, Professor Chu, from your observation, what kind of, maybe collaboration the government or the authorities and those companies can have or to improve in that area?
Yes, I think Michael's absolutely right. That's the reason why we have certain very similar cases. Last year, it's in the photovoltaic industry, the solar panel industry. Then the central government actually hold a meeting among all the stakeholders. They say, okay, we should not have this irrational competition or the involution or 内卷, right?
All right.
So don't do that, because everybody's going to die if you try to squeeze your competitor, by this foul competition. And not only your competitor is going to die, you're going to die as well. So I think the situation mentioned by Michael is very, very important, because as far as I know, the same thing. We try to, every, EV makers, right, try to, what we call the go abroad, 出海. Okay, so because inside of the Chinese market and the mainland market, this competition has already been very bloody and brutal. So they've been shipping their cars everywhere, try to lower the prices because the starting prices overseas is rather high. But now the profit margin has actually been lowered to some extreme. I think what government can do is we can have some similar meetings like we do with the solar panel. We can let everybody sit down together to say, okay, we have a quota system, or we can, have a fair pricing system, so that we don't need to, fight within ourselves irrationally. So eventually, I think we need to, form a synergy, go out of China and, to win the global market and win their customers, not to just, fight against our own. And I think next weekend I'm going to meet with Leung and in Xiaomi, because they have the Sue Extra. Yeah. So next weekend I'm going to talk to him. I think Michael's idea really matters. I think Mr. Leung is actually very influential figures in the EV industry. So probably he, as one of the most important EV makers, will also feel it and also file the similar proposals.
We're looking forward to hearing from you after that meeting.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Michael, would you please give your advice to emerging entrepreneurs or your tips for succeeding in China?
I'm not being humble, but I'm being practical.
Right.
I think we really be brave, and stay open for new possibilities. And what you can imagine, it could be possible.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. And Professor Chu?
Well, I believe Michael's right, because everybody knows China China in the ancient time is a farming-oriented nation, right? In Henan, in Shandong, we're farmers. But actually, China is not only the farmers. We are nomads. Well, in the northern part, like us, we're coming from the Mongolian tribe. So we built the northern presence of Chinese people, in the physical way. But also you have to understand China also have another nomad in the south. That is the Chaoshan people, the Chaozhou people.
Right.
They are not expanding themselves physically, but financially, business-wise. So if you take a look at the global map, southern of China, actually in the ASEAN nations, in Australia, even to North America and Japan, you will find that there's a wide presence of the Chaozhou businessmen. And they have been contributing to China with their business, cavalier, with the business, skills, very good traditions. So I think, like Michael just mentioned, they're going to carry on with this torch. They were going to build on with the spirit and expand this whole business network by, cooperating in the form of synergy with, central government, with the mainland, with the mainland business network, like the newer generation of the entrepreneurs like Leung, like Ma Huateng. So we will form a new synergy. So I think that's the future we're going to welcome and look into.
Right. So the point is, find a Chaozhou people.
Find Chaozhou people, and then you will get into the network of the global business network.
Right. That's all for this episode of Doing Business in China. Make sure you explore more business opportunities with us next week. See ya.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.